You were sharing your content solar system, this idea that you have, a big idea at the center and then these planets around it. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what does that look like for you? And is that relatively static or has that evolved over time?
It has evolved and then it stayed static for a while as I kind of mapped out the territory, and I can see I can see expanding the territory into related things. So like, what does it actually look like? For me, I literally wrote it down on a piece of paper one time just to organize my thoughts well, let me back up. So I started a mailing list. I basically knew what it was going to be about. I knew it was going to be about running my kind of business the way I run it because I knew it was weird. It worked great for me, but it was weird. Certainly very unusual for, at the time I was doing software. And people are asking me to teach it to them. And so I started writing to figure out, like, I knew how to do it, but I didn't know how to teach it. So I started writing to kind of learn how to teach it to people. And I knew there were a bunch of different subject areas that were important that all work together. And probably the three key ones are pricing, of course, which is huge, but positioning, which is, sort of a strategic marketing, and publishing, like we've already been talking about. And then underneath each one of those planets or around those planets, there's a bunch of moons. Like, publishing could be, tactical discussions around how to set up a daily email list, how to maintain it, how to capture enough ideas to send out. Or the podcast could be under publishing. And it's like, well, how do you do that in a way that you'll stick with it? Do you need a co-host? Do you not need a co-host? They're like little detail type things. But I can write about, co-hosting a podcast one day, and then on the other side of the universe, how to value price a 6-month project. And it'll make sense to the reader because everything is revolving around this central gravitational pull of the theme of ditching hourly. So in 2016, I could have told you the list of things I was going to talk about. I couldn't have told you what the central theme was. As obvious as it is to me in retrospect, I couldn't have told you back then. I thought it was one of the planets. Value pricing seemed like the thing that was the most weird, the most confusing to people, the thing that needed to be described the most. And it's way up there, but I kept finding myself writing about things that did not fall under that category. And I'm like, okay, this can't be the central theme. So then I sort of splashed around looking for it. And eventually I was getting interviewed just like this. And someone was like, well, what are you the one and only of? And I was like, well, I'm kind of like the ditching hourly guy. And then it was like, boom, light bulb went on. And I was like, oh, that's it. Duh. I mean, I literally have a podcast called that, and I did at the time, but it never occurred to me that that was the sun. But once I figured that out, then it was kind of like Copernican revolution for me. It's like, instead of a bunch of difficult math to figure out how everything organized with the Earth as the center, it's like I had the wrong planet in the center. So it really made writing weird. Like, what promise am I making to people? Like, if they sign up for the list, what are they going to get out of it? And it's not a list about how to value price projects. So you could have a list just dedicated to that, but that's not the limit of mine. So then once I figured that out, then things fell into place very quickly. And that was probably like 2 years in. So it did not happen right away. But the combination of writing about it every day and talking about the ideas and publishing them led me to that realization. And then it made my life a lot easier. And like I said, now at this point, I expect to be repeating myself quite a bit, but there are times when I'm like, I am writing the same email I wrote 2 years ago. So what are the next group of planets that I might bring in? Like productivity, I don't usually talk about, but it is another key piece, especially if I'm talking to people who are mostly soloists or very small firms and don't want to grow by hiring. So once you ditch hourly billing and you're not hiring people, how do you increase your productivity, or how do you scale up? And so that's becoming like a thing that that I have been talking about more. So yes, it was, asteroids will get pulled into the system and perhaps turn into a planet. AI is another one, which is really under productivity for me. AI is one. Automation is another one. How you track your to-dos, using recurring to-dos, building daily habits, what to use your calendar for. And spoiler alert, don't put to-dos in your calendar. That's a bad idea. So all of these sorts of topics, as soon as I identified like, okay, this planet does work in this solar system, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I have like a whole bunch of stuff that I do that's unusual. I've never seen anybody describe their systems that are in this way. So yeah, so it still evolves, but I would say there was an S curve where I had a bunch of disorganized ideas and then they became organized. And then, and then then it was like, okay, this is the territory. I've mapped out the territory and we might bring in, something new from time to time, but it's stabilized after, what is it? Well, it's 9 years now.